Hello friends, myself Megha and I am wanna discuss topic that is the fixation and staining technique with you. As you know, it is very important in biotechnology era, fixation and staining technique. So I would like to discuss this topic with you all. A very good morning to you all. So first of all, this is the content that I would follow. Okay, now here so there are many steps, or we can say procedures, that are required to make an observation under a microscope. So these are the steps that we have to undergone to take before to make an observation under a microscope. First step is the material preparation, that is followed by fixation, and then dehydration, decalcification is done, that is followed by impregnation and embedding. After this, sectioning is done, sectioning followed by mounting and staining, and then finally observation is taken. So from this slide we can conclude that fixation and staining are the procedures that are required to be done to examine a tissue under a microscope. So I would like to discuss the sample preparation detail with you all. So first of all, histological specimen can be prepared as whole mount, sectioning, and the smears. So what happened in whole mount is that in this the entire cell, or we can say the organism, example fungus or parasite or entire bacterial cell is mount on a slide. Okay, then sectioning. What happened in section preparation is that sectioners are prepared uh, with the help of microtome. It is a machine that is used to form extremely thin or thick, means section of desired thickness around 3 to 5 thick or 5 micron are cut on a microtome. I would like to discuss the machine of the microtome here, so let me zoom it. So here, here you can see the microtome machine. So what happened in this machine is that here you can see the microtome machine. First of all, it is a sample holder here. Here is the knife, and it is, we can say, it is the coarse wheel, and it this one is the operating handle. So this operating hand wheel is rotated manually by us, so that thin or thick sections, means the sections of desired thickness, are prepared under the microtome machine. So what happened in this is, we can prepare section with help of this machine, and next is the smears. So we all are familiar with the preparation of the smear from the bacterial culture. So the smears can be prepared from the blood, bone marrow, or any fluid such as the pleural fluid. And in bacterial culture, what we have to do is, you can see this image here. What we need to do is that we have to take the distilled sterile water from the autoclave, and then we have to take the sterile inoculating loop also. Then we have to place some drop of distilled water, sterile distilled water, on the slide, and then with the help of the sterile and inoculating loop we have to scratch out some pure bacterial colonies from the culture plate. Okay, that bacterial colonies, then we have to mix these with the help of inoculating loop on the mix it with the distilled water. So a thin smear is prepared. We have to mix it very properly, and then a thin smear. We have to prepare a thin smear, and then we heat fix it. So in this condition of smears, only the heat fixation is sufficient. Okay, only the heat fixation is sufficient, but in the case of whole mount and the sectioning, we need a typical fixation process to be carried out. Now, I would like to discuss the fixation technique in detail here. So, it is a process in which a specimen is treated it by exposing it to a fixative. That is, the chemical fixative is a chemical for a particular period of time. Means the time that is required by fixative to penetrate our sample. In order to facilitate the succeeding step that I have discussed earlier, also like mounting and staining, etc., that are needed to prepare a tissue for examination. So the purpose of fixation is to preserve the tissue permanently in as lifelike a state as possible. That means to preserve the biological material as close to its natural state as possible, as in the fixation, cessation of living process take place, so that autolysis and petrification of cells or tissue or sample are prevented. So here we can say the aim of the fixation is to stabilize and preserve the sample in its natural state as possible. So examine the tissue in its natural state. Now the main condition is that the fixative should be 15 to 20 times more in volume than the specimen for the efficient fixation to take place. Now, what we can conclude from the above statement is that it is a complex series of chemical events in which a chemical fixative is used, as I have mentioned it earlier, which brings about the changes in the various chemical constituents of cell. That is mainly the protein. The chemical constituent is the protein whose modification is carried out. The mechanism of modification I would discuss on the later slides. So, here, I want to say that is a complex series of a chemical event in which a chemical fixative is used, which bring about the changes in various chemical constituent of cell that will lead to the hardening of the cell so that the semi-fluid state is converted into the semi-solid state. Now, I would like to discuss the aim of fixation, as we should know that why the fixation is important. Though the first step is to prevent the autolysis and the petrification of the cell. As we know that the autolysis is the destruction of the tissue by their own enzymes, and the petrification is the rotting and decaying of the tissue. So the rotting and decaying and the destruction of the tissue is carried out by the enzymes that are ultimately the proteins. So the modification of proteins take place, so autolysis and petrification of cell is prevented. Next is it should penetrate evenly and randomly. It is very important at evenly fixation should take place. The random fixation uh, would not uh, would not give us the quite good results during the examination of the tissue. So it should take place evenly. It should harden the tissue that I have discussed it earlier as the main purpose of the fixation is stabilization and preservation that would ultimately the hardening. Hardening would uh, give us the stabilization of the tissue and the preservation of the tissue. Increase the optical density. Optical density is the measure of absorbance. So if it would increase the optical density, the measure of absorbance would increase. That would ultimately lead to the measure of concentration by the Beer-Lambert law by the spectrophotometer. So it should increase the optical density, should not cause the shrinkage or swelling of the cell. What I mean from this is that it should preserve the biological. I have discussed it earlier also that the preservation of the biological material as close to its natural state is one of the purpose of the fixation. So shrinkage and swelling would lead to the change the shape of the tissue, so it would not be the main purpose, that is the natural, we want a natural state will hinder. So here the shrinkage and swelling should not take place because of the fixation here. Must not react with the uh, receptor side. What I mean from the receptor side is here is actually what happened. The cell uses the membrane by layer and the underlying cytoskeleton as a scaffold to organize the surface protein or receptor. As we know, the cytoskeleton and the membrane, what they play a role is that they play a role of providing the structural strength to the cell. So if it would react with receptor, then what would happen, they ultimately what would happen, uh, spatial the changes in the spatial organization of molecule would would create it, such as clustering often leads, such as clustering of receptor would create a protein or receptor would the result of this reaction, and often it leads to limit the resolution of image under a microscope. So the main aim that we are doing the fixation and staining is the examination of the tissue under the microscope. We need to therefore we are doing the fixation and staining. If it will limit the resolution of the image, then our main aim will be hinder. So here, what it so fixation fixative should not react with the receptor sites. This must not interfere with the staining procedure, and staining procedure is taken just after the fixation, so it should not interfere the staining procedure as well. It must be cheap and easily available. That is, it is important point so that it can be used routinely in the labs. So next, factors affecting fixation. Acidity or basicity, osmolarity, size of the specimen, and volume of the fixative are some of the factors that affect the fixation. So, the pH should be maintained for the effective fixation. Osmolarity should also maintain, as we know that the hypertonic solution will give rise to the cell shrinkage, and the hypertonic solution result in the cell swelling and the poor fixation. Here, I like to mention some point that the what happened actually the fixative solution is somewhat of hypotonic solution, so it have a osmolarity lower than the tissue or the sample, which actively promotes the fixation absorption. That is the main aim that we want the absorption of the fixative in the tissue, so so the fixative solution is somewhat of hypotonic solution. So the next is the size of the specimen. The size of the specimen should be in the range of 1 to 4 mm thickness. Why this so? This is because if the size of the specimen is above this range, then what will happen? It would ultimately lead to the longer time duration for the fixative to penetrate the tissue. So the size of the specimen play an important role in fixation process. Also, it controls the osmolarity. As less will be the size of the tissue, it would promote the less fixative absorption. So will limit the cell swelling or poor fixation. Volume of the fixative, as I have mentioned it earlier also, that it should at least 15 to 20 times greater than the tissue volume, so that it would result in the hypotonic solution, and ultimately the penetration of the fixative would be possible. Next, Next, I would like to discuss the commonly used fixative. The commonly used fixative is formalin. It is prepared by mixing the 40% of the formaldehyde gas in the 100 to weight by volume of the distilled water. The resultant mixture is 100% formalin. So what we do is 10 ml of 100% formalin is taken and mixed with the 90 ml of the sterile distilled water, and in this way the 10% formalin is formed that is routinely used in the labs for the fixation purpose. Now here I would like to discuss the mechanism of action. So what happened? It formed the cross link between the amino acid, mainly the residual of the lysine of protein, they were making them insoluble. Insoluble means what happened? The crosslink would result in the modification of protein and the hardening of protein. So they would be then become insoluble. It fixes 4 mm thick tissue in 8 hours. Here we can see the image. What happened? It is the protein. Then we treated it with the aldehyde fixative, or we can say with any fixative, that it would lead to formation of the cross link between the amino acids. Here we can say we can see the cross links in the red. Here we can see the bond in red. It is the cross linking caused by due to the action of the fixative onto the protein. So in this way, hardening would take place. Other simple fixative are glyceraldehyde. Glyceraldehyde has same procedure as that of the formaldehyde, formalin. They would lead to the uh, formation of methyl drugs, or we can say the cross linking would form because of the aldehyde group in them. And next is the osmium tetroxide, potassium dichromate, and mercury chloride. These three are the strong oxidizing agent. So what they would react with the side chain of the proteins. So oxidation of the protein would take place, which would ultimately result in the cross linking, and the cross linking would ultimately result in the hardening of the tissue, that is the fixation. Now, I would like to discuss the staining process. It is very interesting process according to me, as I have done so much staining in my graduation. So what happened? The staining of the section is done to bring out the particular detail in the tissue under study. As staining increase the contrast and the visibility, so it is used to done. It is used to bring out particular detail in the tissue. The most commonly used staining in routine practices is the metal gyrin and iosin staining. I think it is most commonly used in the histological specimen preparation, so it is common in that way. Here we can see the procedure of the staining. Here, first of all, fixation is done. We prepared a smear, then we would mix it with the bacterial culture. With then we will fix it. Then after fixation, heat fixation is done. Then after heat fixation, we the next step staining is happening here. You can see in the image. So staining is taken place, and then we observe the slide in the microscope. In this way the observation is taken. Next, I would here you can see the image here. So these are the material required in the staining process, that is the glove to protect our hand from the color of the dye. These are some dyes, and it is a dropper that is used to drop the uh, dyes on the slide or specimen to stain it. So the section as they prepared are colorless. We know that when we prepared a section, they are colorless, and the different component cannot be appreciated, means cannot be differentiated. So staining them by different colored dyes having affinities of a specific component of tissues makes identification and study of their morphology possible. So the basophilic substances are stained with basic dye, and the acidophilic substances are stained by acid dye. Vital staining of structure in living cell, either in the body, that is the in vivo staining, or in the laboratory preparation, that is the in vitro staining, is done in regular practices for the characterization of the tissues. What happened? Vital staining, actually it is a staining that in which stain is excluded by the living cells but taken up by the dead cell. So, what happened? The living cell would remain uncolored, and the dead cell would take the stain and would be stained. So we can determine the living and the dead cell in the sample in our sample. So in this way, vital staining help to differentiate between the living and the dead cell. On whether on the other hand there is supravital staining also. What happened in the supravital staining, that it stain entered the cell of a living cell, and then in this staining living cell would be colored and the dead cell would be uncolored. So vital staining and the supravital staining, both staining are used to differentiate the living cells from the non-living cells from the dead cells. So we can examine or differentiate between them. And these practices are regulatory use in regular basis in practices in laboratories to determine the living and the non-living cells in the sample tissue or specimen. Next, aim of the staining, as I have discussed earlier also, it is used to increase the visibility and the contrast. It is used to study the morphology. We can study the morphology by many stainings like hematogen and iosin staining. So to make the microscopic semi-transparent object visible, to highlight the metabolic processes by using the specific dyes having affinities for specific metabolic processes, to differentiate between the live and the dead cell in the sample, as in the vital and the supravital staining. Method of staining. So method of staining, first of all, direct staining. Application of simple dye to stain the tissue in varying shades of color is called direct staining. Second is a progressive staining, in which a stain is applied to the tissue in strict sequence for a specific time. Then the stain is washed out or decolorized because of the overstaining of the tissue constituents. While in the regressive staining, what happened? Tissue is first overstained, then the excess stain is removed. As in the gram staining, we know the decolorizing agent वगैरह used and they removed from all of the structure to be demonstrated under the microscope. So these are the method of the staining that are commonly used, and we all are familiar with these methods as biotechnologists we are. So next is the dye. Dye used in staining. So there are various dye that are used in staining. Uh, Here I have done some of the classification of the dye. मतलब, there's dyes are classified in various way, like according to the source from which they are derived, like the natural if they are derived from natural source, they are called natural dyes. If they are derived from the synthetic, then they are called synthetic dyes. So next is the on the basis of the affinity to tissues, and third one is on the basis of their chemical composition, means either they are acidophilic or the basophilic. Acidophilic dyes like iosine and thiazine, and basophilic include the azodie, rosalin, and hematoxylin dyes. Now, staining technique, I have mentioned it earlier also, that it is used to determine the cell shape, cell size, and the cell arrangement. It is of two types. First is the contrast staining, and second is the differential staining. What happened in the contrast staining is that a dye is used to color a portion of tissue on cell. So in this, only one type of stain is used. Because of only one type of stain is being used, either the specimen or the background will be colored. समझ रहे हो? इसमें क्या होता है कि कंट्रास्ट और डिफरेंशियल स्टेनिंग यूज किया जाती है. कंट्रास्ट में क्या होता है, ओनली वन टाइप ऑफ डाई और वी कैन से द केमिकल इज यूज्ड. तो उसकी वजह से क्या होता है, या तो बैकग्राउंड विल बी कलर्ड, और आइदर द बैकग्राउंड विल बी कलर्ड और द specimen would be colored. So in positive staining, what would happen? The specimen would be colored, but in the condition of the negative staining, the background will be colored. This is because what happened in specimen, that is the almost these are the bacteria, we examine the bacteria normally. So bacteria have a negative charge on their cell wall. So acidic dye is negatively charged, so it will repel that and would not take the stain, hence the background would be stained. But in the case of positive staining, what would happen? The basic dye will have the positive charge, so and the cell wall of bacteria has a negative charge, so it would not repel and take the take will would take up the stain. So the specimen would be colored in the case of the positive staining, in which a basic dye would be used. Here is the differential staining. Differential staining is the staining process which uses more than one chemical stain. So what happened? Using multiple stain can better differentiate between different microorganisms, structure, or cellular component of a single organism. So there are different type of differential staining, like gram staining and the acid fast staining. Gram staining, acid fast staining, capsule staining. There are a lot of differential staining procedure. So what happened in the gram staining is that gram staining is very commonly used staining. So it is used to determine the differentiate between the two broad groups of the bacteria, that is the gram negative and the gram positive. The gram negative would be the pinkish colored or red color, we can say, or gram positive would be the purple color after gram staining process. Acid fast staining, is differential staining is used to identify the acid-fast organism that is from the member of the genus Microbacteria. Acid-fast organisms are characterized by wax-like, nearly impermeable cell wall. They contain mycolic acid and a large amount of fatty acid and the waxes. So what happened in this staining? I would like to discuss it in detail here. So what happened? Initially, the Gill-Nielsen carbonyl fusion uh, stain every cell. When they are de-stained with the acid alcohol, only non-acid fast bacteria get the de-stained since they do not have the thick waxy lipid layer. When the counter stain is applied, so what would happen? The non-acid fast bacteria pick it up because and become blue green, while the acid fast bacteria retain the carbonyl fusion stain, that is the primary stain, so they appear red because they have the mycolic layer of waxy lipid layer, so they would retain the stain. This is the acid fast staining. Here I have added my slide of project of the result slide of my project, in which the first step was the identification of the microbes or bacteria. So according to the different objectives, as my object according to different objective, different type of staining are carried out. As my objective was to identify the organism, so I used the gram staining. I was given with the strain the RB7 and the RB4. Identified them as a gram positive, and these are the short roads you can see in the picture. These are the short roads and are gram positive. Oh my god, it take a lot of work for me to stain these bacteria. uh, actually Actually, I was not that good in that process, but now I'm good in that process. As practice man, a man perfect. So next is negative staining. I would like to discuss the negative staining. I have given you the idea about the negative staining in the previous slide. So you have to tell me about the negative staining in my comment box. Okay. Um, Leave. I would discuss it as it is my work. What happened, I have discussed it earlier also. As bacteria have the negative cell wall of bacteria is negatively charged, so it would repel the negative stain, that is the acidic stain, and would remain uncolored and the background will be colored. Okay, next is the trypan blue staining. Trypan blue staining, as I have discussed in earlier slide about the vital staining. So trypan blue staining is a type of vital staining. What happened in this, it is used to differentiate between the uh, dead and the living cell, or because of the intact cell membrane of the living cell, it would not able to penetrate the living cell. But in the dead cell, what would happen? There will be the porous membrane, so it would penetrate the dead cell, and then the dead cell would be colored and the living cell would remain uncolored. Trypan staining is vital staining that is used to differentiate between the living and the dead cell. You can see the picture here. The blue stain is taken up by the dead cell, and we can determine the dead cell. These are the dead cell, and other are the living cells. Now the hematoxylin and the iosine staining. Uh, I think I have also given some idea about this staining in earlier slides. That is used frequently in histology for to examine these tissue sections. तो हेमाटोक्साइलिन stain क्या करता है? It stains the cell nuclei blue, while iosine stain the cytoplasm, connective tissue, and other extracellular substances, और दे बिकम पिंक और रेड. तो आयोसिन स्टेन जो न्यूक्लियाई होती है वो तो हेमेटोजाइलिन स्टेन से स्टेन हो जाती है ब्लू कलर में. बाकी जो साइटोप्लाज्म कनेक्टिव टिश्यू एंड अदर थिंग्स होती है वो क्या हो जाती है? पिंक और रेड हो जाती है, बिकॉज ऑफ द आयोसिन स्टेन इज टेकन अप बाय दैम एंड हेमेटोजाइलिन वाज टेकन अप बाय द न्यूक्लियाई, सेल न्यूक्लियाई. Capsule staining. Uh, so also mention that which type of staining is capsule staining. Okay, as either it is contrast or it is differential. So what happened in this, as I have given you some idea about differential and contrast staining. So please comment on my comment box about it. So here what happened, this is the bacterial cell. So here we use two type of stain. First is the acidic stain and second is the basic stain. So what would happen, because of the negatively charge of the cell wall, the negative charge of the cell wall, it would take up the basic dye because of its positive charge, and the background will be in negative will be stained with the negative dye because of the because of because of the negatively charged as that is the acidic dye. So uh, capsule that is the non-ionic will remain unstained. So bacterial capsule are non-ionic, so neither acidic or basic stain will adhere to their surface. Therefore, the best way to visualize them is to stain the background using an acidic stain and to stain the cell itself using a basic stain, that is the capsule staining. Here, these are the references I have used, and thank you for listening me. And I hope you would find it useful and would like it, and subscribe my channel for the more videos related to the biotechnology area. And I would always give you and keep it up the good work for you all and share my some of the thoughts with you. Thank you so much.